Hey guys, it's Francine Simone, and today let's talk about the 5 ways in which the young adult book community has achieved moral bankruptcy. I know that was really front loaded there, but I'm being 100% serious when I say that. That wasn't even like clickbait. I'm being serious. We're going to discuss how we've fallen into moral bankruptcy today. I want to start with the fact that it's been a year that I've been making videos now, and maybe last year in July and in September, that's when I started making my first discussion videos about kind of what was going on in the book community as far as diversity and the way, not diversity itself, because I feel like it's pretty clear and obvious that we need a little diversity and stuff like that. And that's a positive thing. Inclusiveness, equality, all of those things where they play out, that's positive. I didn't feel like I needed to discuss that, whether we need it or not. But I did want to discuss about how we go about doing it, because I noticed that there was a lot of negativity surrounding it, and it wasn't really coming from people who were against diversity, who speak so adamantly against it. I mean, there's going to be 1 or 2 people, but who the fuck cares about them? But it was coming a lot for people who were speaking for diversity, who wanted to express their insecurities and their anger and frustrations with being excluded, how they felt they were excluded at least. And so, I was like, okay, well, it's cool that we're discussing that. But then it turned into a shit show. So here's the 5 ways. So number 1, let's go ahead and talk about this. The first thing that I noticed, and I mentioned in the early videos that we should not practice, was bigotry. Bigotry, I want to say first and foremost that bigotry is an equal opportunity kind of activity. And I don't think a lot of people know that, but it is. So the first and foremost thing that I noticed a lot that people were doing is they were being extremely bigoted to people that they perceived to have more privilege than them. And I thought that was a little fucked up because, 1, it's over the internet. I don't know anybody else's story. Y'all don't know mine, really. All you know is what, you get in a video. And so we should never really pretend to know other people's experiences, their lives, where they grew up, who they are, how they came to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People are different. It's interesting that we ask for diversity to celebrate difference while also ignoring the fact that everyone is different. We are all uniquely different. No matter, you can't group people by color, but we do that all day long. Everybody. And I don't understand. How can you scream, I'm not a monolith, like black women aren't a monolith, and then turn around and be like, white people, y'all a monolith? That doesn't make sense to me. It speaks loudly about the lack of principles, about the lack of common sense, about the true motive and agenda that people are actually reaching for, and that is to feel validated versus actually to uplift up a community and to make it better and positive for young adults who are coming into this community, who already exist in this community. Instead it's been about a playground of validating my anger and my sadness and my frustrations and my successes and failures versus, creating a place for children who like to read. I'm not trying to throw shade or nothing, but that's how it is. So that was one thing I noticed, and it really pet peeved me. And one example that I can truly give is one of the chicks I really like on here. I'm not gonna name names and all that sort of stuff, but one of the chicks I really like, we're on Twitter and we were talking about something. And, when I say we, I don't mean me and her. I mean, we were all in the Twitterverse. We were talking about something, and it was about diversity. And somebody came in, and it was kind of defaming her, calling her all these names, calling her outside of her name, telling her this and that, how she didn't understand nothing. She couldn't have a conversation in this. She was not a part of this conversation. And then the girl was like, whoa, back up. I'm asexual. I am a part of this conversation. I understand what it's like. I'm not as privileged as you think I am. I actually understand this. And the other chick was like, oh, never mind, then forget, excuse what I said. How you just gonna come out of left field at this girl, call her outside of her name, then find out, oh, she's asexual, so it's all okay. Never mind, I'm sorry. No, you don't get to behave that way. You don't get to behave like a douchebag. No, maybe you shouldn't have jumped on her ass in the first place. Get some morals. So that's number 1, bigotry based on perceived privileges. That was the beginning of our descent. So number 2, the second way that we kind of dive down into the cave of moral bankruptcy, community censorship. First thing foremost, I want to say community censorship is a thing. Community censorship is a thing. Community censorship is a thing. I know that censorship means that, a huge entity of power censors what a group of people get to see, think, and or hear. That's a legit thing. That's like what the basic definition is for. But censorship can happen within communities by people who exercise power within those communities. Like, and it works like this. Like, if you hold power in a community, let's say you can round up a big group of people to stand behind you while you drag another chick like down the Twitter streets, you are exercising a power. So if you say this and all those people believe you because they follow you, not just on Twitter, but like generally, like they follow you and what you say, you are commanding kind of like a little army of yours to help you drag someone. And if that someone doesn't have the same amount of followers as you and has significantly less, you're in a place of power and they are in a place of not power. Like, it doesn't matter if you're marginalized and this person is white, or this person is white and this person is marginalized. Like, it doesn't matter the skin color, sexual orientation, any of that stuff, if in the community you have the power. So, like, I didn't mean to say it like that to be like an asshole, but, you know, I really do feel like most people don't get that when I talk about community censorship and how that's a thing. Most people want to, like, laugh it off because, oh, I'm not the president. It's like, well, no, the fuck not. Like, nobody said you were. Like, obviously, you're not the fucking president. The internet has changed things. Just because someone has a perceived sense of celebrity, like they're an author and you're a reviewer with tons of followers and they're an author with not as many, like, it's still the same goddamn thing. You have more power in the game than the other person. Like, let's not pretend that's a thing. So now that we've got that out of the whole thing, community censorship. Generally in the book community, we think censorship's a bad thing because knowledge is power and books are knowledge. But somehow, because we know that knowledge is power, but books sometimes, you know, make us uncomfortable and we don't like what's in a book, or we disagree, or we think it's a really crap book, we think it's okay to like now censor those books. Or in blatant terms, we, the people in a power position who have a lot of followers, tell the people who otherwise would read that book or support that book that they will be shunned from the community, and or their names will be dragged in the streets, and or if they have like a livelihood in this industry and not a lot of power like we do amongst these people here, we're going to drag them in the streets and let everybody know that they have now been ostracized, and if you associate with them, we're going to drag you too. Like, that's what I mean by practicing censorship within the community. So if you tell a specific individual that if they read a book or whatever, they're going to be shunned from the community in which they enjoy partaking in, that's practicing community censorship, like point blank. Like, argue with me in the comments if you want about that shit, whatever, but that's what it is. That's community censorship. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. If you want to practice community censorship, go ahead. Like, in some cases, it's good and it works, I guess, whatever. I'm not saying for one or for the other. I'm just saying if you do it, don't pretend like you don't. Just own up to it. That's part of being moral, is when you are honest about what you do. Number 3, and this one threw me for a big tizzy because holy shit. So you remember back when I was talking about how people shouldn't review books that they haven't read, especially rating books that they haven't read, whether you give it a 1-star or a 5-star review. I think it's nonsense that you would review a book, because I mean, like, review means that you viewed it and then you're going to review it for other people. Like you viewed it once and then you're going to regurgitate what you viewed to other people. Like, that's like the word review, but you haven't viewed it once, so how can you review? So anyways, my point was, if you want to talk about how harmful books are and you don't like this book and you're not going to read it, that's perfectly fine. Use the comment section on Goodreads for that, or, you know, at least say, I'm not going to read this book and here's the review that like told me not to, because I think it's really important to let other people know. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's perfectly cool and fine. However, a few weeks ago, it was then confirmed that it is not okay to recommend a book you haven't read. So it's okay to review a book you haven't read, but it's wrong to recommend a book you haven't read. You know, generally, like, librarians recommend books that they haven't read because it's in the general vicinity of what you, the viewer, wants to read. So they'll say, oh, what kind of books do you like? Oh, these books fall into that category. I recommend that you read these. Maybe I positively recommend some of these more because lots of people like these ones, so you might like these too. But they're not going to be like, oh yeah, let me tell you all about this book I haven't read, and this is why you should read it. Or this is why you shouldn't read this one because I haven't read it. I'm always going to be confused how that works. I'm not saying that you can't do one or the other, or that you should do both or not do either. Like, I really, again, can't emphasize enough. I don't care what people do. I only care about the honesty that follows along with it. And as long as you're not being a hypocrite, I'm not going to call you out on your bullshit. But you can't, like, come at me crazy and then, like, be a hypocrite, because I'll be honest with you. Like, for real. I like to stay humble, so that means I like to check myself quite often. And I know lots of people don't like to do that, but I will be checking you if you come at me all crazy-eyed, talking like craziness. So consider this a check. But the thing that really bothers me about that is the focus on negativity over positivity. So it's all right to be super negative in the community about books that we don't like, and to talk nonstop about the books that we don't like, about how we can't believe this book got published, but all this stuff. It's super cool to, like, throw out there into the void, into the massive speak that the internet is, negativity. But as soon as people throw positivity into it, that's not okay, because I'm going to have principles now. It's like, maybe the problem is that you've been on this downward spiral towards moral bankruptcy, that all you're cool with is hate and the destruction of things, that maybe positivity and the building up of stuff really bothers you now. Number 4 is one that, like, it's interesting that this hasn't cropped up much more with other people, but I can understand now, considering we have no morals. But authors, like, really spotlighting negative reviews. Sometimes they'll black out the name, but most of the time they don't, specifically from Goodreads. So, like, y'all know that I'm talking about young adult books. I mean, I write young adult books. I talk about young adult books. Like that's all my channel really is. That's all I really consume. That's, like, the people that I interact with, what they read, write, consume, whatever. So Goodreads is usually where people go to, like, review books. And if they're young adult books, chances are a lot of times the people who review those books are young adults, because, the books are for young adults. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the chances of the reviewer that you were spotlighting being a child is probably high. I mean, like, not super high, but probably kind of high. And I know this stems from a place of insecurity. Like, first of all, I want to say there's nothing wrong with an author looking at their negative reviews. I think it's bad for your mental health, but whatever, do you. But what you probably want to do is really talk with your close friends and or families or other authors who are going to understand and, like, really jump in there with you, even though they think that your book was trash too, or, they think that you're overreacting. Whatever it may be, they're going to support you through that shit, because, they understand it, they get it, they were there too. But what you probably shouldn't do is put that on Twitter, because Twitter might be your author friends, but it's also going to be readers and reviewers of your stuff. And I just don't think it's all right to be, like, spotlighting negative reviews that you don't like, so that all of your followers and stuff like that who loved your book can then go and hop on this person and be like, you don't know nothing, your opinion sucks, you stupid, what are you, 12? Yeah, so what, you dumb 12-year-old, like, you don't know nothing. Like, I mean, like, that's never, I haven't seen it happen to a 12-year-old, but I mean, I wouldn't know, because it's the internet, and I generally just decide to exercise caution in those areas, and I would think other authors would too, considering it's your reader base. But, like, bankruptcy does have a bottom. Like, how they always say when you hit rock bottom? Well, I feel like we kind of hit rock bottom, but there might be some more down there, or some more tumbles left to come. But it happened when somebody said piracy was stealing and stealing was wrong. The other side of the argument was, don't shame people for stealing. Like, I understand that there are lots of reasons why people steal things. First of all, books are a luxury item. I don't give a fuck what you say. Books are important, yes. We love books. Books are knowledge and stuff like that. But they're a luxury. Like stealing food, stealing medicine, stealing diapers for your kids, stealing whatever you need to do so that you can survive and have a roof over your head, whatever that is, for any amount of people, whatever. That's usually when people justify stealing. But to steal a luxury item, like, first of all, if you got the internet to steal the books from, you already coming from a place of privilege. But aside from all that, the thing that really bothered me, and the thing that really made me stop and really turn around and see that the literal ineptitude that I was dealing with, is when the people used for their example of why we shouldn't shame people, they pinpointed the poor, the marginalized, and people who live in foreign countries. I got real mad at this, y'all, because I want to say just one thing off the bat. Poor people marginalized people and people who live in foreign countries, we may be different, but we also have morals. We also have the thought process to know that stealing is wrong. We also practice not stealing. We're not all poor. And even if some of us are poor and destitute, again, we still have morals. Now, I understand where they were coming from when some people don't have libraries, all this and that and the other. I mean, that's a whole nother argument on whether you think it's okay to steal imported goods because you live in a foreign country and the imported good from a foreign country is hard to get. Is wrong. Like, it's wrong. Like, whatever. Like, if you want to steal, do you, boo-boo. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I ain't got no morals just because you want to steal a book. So that's when I realized that we kind of hit rock bottom. Not only did we start from it's okay to like practice bigotry, it's okay to practice censorship. You know, that was like one of the big no-nos. To it's okay to not read a book and then, you know, pretend like we did and give reviews on it. To it's okay for authors to attack, you know, like reviewers who are probably children. To it's just fine to steal books in general. Like, and I mean, like, and I know a lot of people were saying, I'm not saying it's okay to steal books. We're just saying don't shame people. First of all, shame comes from within, not from without. You only feel shame from doing the act if you feel shameful about the act. And in that case, you know that the act is wrong. So whether or not someone says that it's wrong, you're going to feel shameful about it. But you're not going to feel shameful about it if you won't feel bad about it in general. So I'm going to need people to stop with that nonsense. But it's interesting in the past year, in the name of social justice, we've essentially lost all of our principles and morals and become a bunch of hypocrites who shit all over the people we're trying to help. Now, guys, let me know what you think down below in the comments. And, you know, I'm always open up to disagreements. I understand this is a really complex topic. It's really hard for me to get all of everything I want to talk about into, like, a really quick video, and this isn't quick. But, let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm willing to, like, you know, discuss things and express things further. Just be respectful. Keep the nonsense out of it. And don't come at me crazy because I don't respond to those. And don't come at somebody else all crazy because I will delete those. It's stupid. Discourse is okay. But disrespect ain't going to be okay any day. So, guys, with that being said, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter if you want a monthly writing tip. And I will talk to you later. TD well. Ta-ta for now. Bye.